I wish I could support this bill today. I think that the intent behind it is certainly well-meaning and well-intentioned to have a timely way of processing ballots on Election Day so that we get our results identified and accounted for in a timely manner. However, I think there is still room for a tremendous amount of risk that this bill does not account for. We are allowing for the pre-processing of absentee ballots, for the outer envelope of absentee ballots to be opened up, certainly for that process to be monitored, but then those ballots that are basically pre-processed to be placed within a secured container and sealed to be actually counted in the tabulator the following day on Election Day morning. The issue I see with this is that there is no identification of what will take place if a sealed ballot container is somehow ruptured or tampered or broken or in any way opened or exposed. That could happen through a variety of different ways. It could be purposeful or it could be totally benign, but still there's nothing in this bill that identifies what will happen if that takes place. And I want to share with the members a story from my district that just took place very recently in the August primary election. A school bond issue was being decided in the Durand Public Schools, and the clerk admitted that she accidentally sent a few ballots to people who were not eligible to vote in that particular race because they didn't reside in the actual school district where the bond issue was being debated. The actual vote on Election Day only prevailed by 2 votes. However, there were a number of voters in that race that were ineligible to vote in that particular question. They know of at least 12. When they decided to go back and do a recount just to determine if the issue had truly prevailed or not, they found that the ballot tamper seal had been broken and they were not able to do a paper recount. That meant that the machine tabulation stood as the final decision of that particular race. So now we have a vote count where we know certain ballots were in there that shouldn't have been, and certain people that voted in that race shouldn't have. The decision was only decided by 2 votes. More than that number were inadvertently in the box. And when the paper recount was initiated, they immediately found that the seal had been tampered with. That was on a school bond issue. That wasn't deciding who's going to nominate people to the Supreme Court of the United States for the next 4 years. That wasn't deciding whether or not we go to war or send people into combat or not. That's what's on the ballot in November this year. And if we can't expect that there's going to be a desire by some to perhaps look and tamper with these ballots after they've been opened in some respect, I think that we have to acknowledge that that could happen. And I really hope those of you that are voting for this don't regret this decision on November 3rd or November 4th. If we have ballot boxes that in some way where the seal was corrupted and we don't know what level of damage was done, how can we be certain that the results of the election are actually as we would like them to be? All of us should want the results of the election to be accurate. We should not be injecting a level of risk into this year's election above anything else. I'm willing to wait a little bit longer for the results to be certain so that we know that there was not some type of manipulation that took place. I'd like to see that done, and I don't think this bill accomplishes that. I will be voting no, and I would encourage the rest of my colleagues to vote no as well.